Imagine your entire visual reality, the room around you, the screen in front of you, just snapping off. You wouldn't realize you were in the dark. Your brain is locked inside a pitch-black, silent vault of bone. It relies on sensory inputs to build your world, but it doesn't weigh those inputs equally. Molecular biologist John Medina states, vision acts as a dictator over the brain's reality, overruling all other senses. This chart shows exactly how overwhelming visual dominance is. Hear a piece of information, and 3 days later, your brain retains only 10%. But add a picture to that same information, and recall shoots up to 65%. This is the pictorial superiority effect. Because visual data commands so much cognitive bandwidth, the brain has evolved to trust it instinctively. This creates a lopsided biological hierarchy, one where the visual cortex has the power to override the rest of your sensory inputs. To see how aggressively vision commands the brain, look at how it treats missing body parts. In the famous mirror box experiment, an amputee places their intact arm next to a mirror. When they move the real hand, they watch the reflection move in the exact spot where their missing limb used to be. Even though the physical arm is entirely gone, the moment the eyes see that reflection moving, the visual cortex overrides physical reality. The patient feels actual haptic sensations, movement or relief from severe cramping, in a missing arm, simply because their eyes said it was there. This sensory override dictates taste, too. Researchers dyed standard white wine red and served it to elite experts. The experts overwhelmingly described flavors of a complex red wine. Their eyes saw red, so the visual cortex forced their taste buds to experience red. What you experience as an objective physical environment is actually just your visual cortex bullying the rest of your sensory organs into absolute submission. It dictates the terms, and the rest of the brain falls in line. But this absolute authority rests on a startling biological contradiction. As neuroscientist David Eagleman points out, your eyes do not actually see the outside world at all. Your eyes are essentially just translators. They catch incoming photons of light and convert them into meaningless electrical spikes. Those spikes are then sent down the optic nerve and into the pitch-black void of your skull. The brain itself doesn't see anything. It just receives these tiny electrical pulses in the dark. To make sense of them, it relies on a process called unconscious inference. It rapidly and blindly guesses what those incoming spikes mean, using historical data gathered over your lifetime. It takes those guesses and builds a rich, colorful, three-dimensional simulation internally. The world you feel like you are sitting in right now is entirely generated inside your head to give meaning to that electrical noise. Waking perception is really just a highly disciplined dream. The only thing keeping that dream tied to physical reality is a fragile, continuous stream of electrical hints coming from the optic nerve. Technologist Jeff Hawkins describes the neocortex, the wrinkly outer layer of your brain, as a massive prediction engine. It is constantly forecasting exactly what you are about to see, fractions of a second before you actually see it. When you look around a room, your brain isn't processing every detail fresh. It projects its expected model. It only updates that internal hallucination when an incoming electrical spike from the eye proves the prediction wrong. This mechanism is highly efficient. By mostly ignoring the raw data of the outside world and running its own internal forecast, the brain navigates chaotic environments without constantly overloading its processing power. But this efficiency creates a terrifying vulnerability. What happens to this powerful prediction engine when the optical pathways are physically destroyed, but the brain refuses to turn off the projector? The brain is so addicted to its own fabricated reality, so terrified of the absolute dark inside the skull, that losing contact with physical reality can cause a catastrophic system failure. The ultimate proof of this internal fabrication is a severe neurological glitch known as Anton syndrome. Patients with this condition suffer a massive stroke that specifically destroys their visual processing centers. The optical feed is physically severed. They are completely and totally blind. But the patient genuinely and often furiously denies being blind. They will confidently describe the bright lights in the room, the colorful clothing of the doctors, and the detailed furniture around them, right before standing up and physically crashing into a real wall. Because the feed of reality has been cut, the prediction engine goes into overdrive. The brain seamlessly paints over the void with its own internal hallucination. There is no failsafe. The system doesn't report the error to the conscious mind. Anton's syndrome proves that the visual cortex is a desperate fabricator. When faced with an empty data stream, it will choose to render a convincing, vibrant lie, rather than accept the terrifying dark truth. Take a second to look around the physical space you are in right now. Look at the walls, look at the lighting, the screen in front of you. Are you absolutely certain you are receiving light from those objects? Or is your brain just flawlessly predicting them into existence because they are exactly what you expect to see? Understanding this neurological reality separates you from the vast majority of people who trust their eyes without question, living comfortably inside the illusion. If you scroll past this video, you return to that comfortable, unexamined trust. Subscribe to continue investigating the biology that builds your world, because the conscious reality you feel so sure of is really just a fragile hologram built by a desperate machine hovering over an endless void.